The following exposition was written by Steve Townshend for the Ecology of the Banderhobb in Dungeon Magazine issue 195. This is a story by Talon Tenswords, famous braggart and adventurer, as told in his memoir. I had nearly escaped Night's Barrow entirely when the thing pulled me back down the black tunnel toward the brink of its terrible maw. Its tongue had me firmly around the ankle, and I held only my dagger and lantern. In the flickering light, its mouth was the entrance to a jagged cavern, opening upon some unfathomable abyss. Even wider it grew, all the while drawing me nearer and nearer unto the breach. I braced my feet upon its jaws, and we struggled for a moment, but no mortal strength could contest its irresistible pull. My knees buckled, and down I went, past its double row of shark's teeth, into its open gullet, down inside the thing's body. The muscles of its throat constricted, forcing me along, and threatening to suffocate me and break my bones. The ordeal ended when at last I passed beyond its gullet. I dropped several feet, but came to land on the thing's soft stomach floor. Every part of me ached. I was battered and bruised, but remarkably I remained in one piece. My lantern lay nearby, its flame guttering but no less alive than myself. I crawled over to retrieve it, and opening all its shutters, I gazed around me in a full circle. The thing's stomach was like a vast room, roughly 15 feet across and at least as high. All around me lay the detritus of past victims, broken tools, rotten clothing, coins, the bones of humans and animals. This place could not truly exist within the creature, for it was far wider than the thing and twice as tall, with enough space to carry several persons easily within. And yet, this was not the strangest thing I saw, nor the most terrible. In tales of my adventures I have been called a liar by some, a braggart by most. But upon my life and my mother's name, this, I swear, is true. Etched across a wide section of the stomach's wall, I saw a human face. Imagine an ordinary face stretched across half the length and width of that broad surface, its features elongated and distorted. The marks that outlined this face were a ghostly white in color, contrasting with the magenta of the stomach lining. It had no eyes, for it was no true face, but only the phantom impression of one. In the place its mouth should have occupied, a valve-like hole, dilated and contracted with the movement of the thing's muscles, and from this orifice issued a noisome stench. I concluded that the space I now occupied was a holding stomach of sorts, that the mouth valve must lead to the place where the creature digested its meals. There seemed but one way out. Dagger in hand, I went to work upon the orifice. All the while the blank, distorted face gazed sightlessly down upon me like a ghastly reflection of my own, as if to say, "Strip the soul away, and this flesh is all you are. No more than this." Another stab, and the mouth opened as wide as it might go. Then I was devoured a second time, drawn inside a stinking maze of intestines, and eventually into a second stomach, considerably more cramped than my prior accommodations. I carved my way out and emerged from the thing's true belly, the obscene monster, a gory cocoon around my ankles. However, I have never been capable of enjoying my victory, for whenever I reflect upon the encounter, I recall the horrible face stretched thin across the wall of its voluminous stomach. Even in its distortion, the ghostly visage bore human characteristics. Lines of laughter, scars from pain, the full breadth of experience bleached and stretched into non-being. And though I cannot say why, a voiceless thought deep within my soul whispers that a different face lies within each of these monsters, each one a horrid reminder of the fate that awaits us at the end of the dark road, where no songs are sung.
Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Dungeons & Dragons and the lore that surrounds them.
Hello there, creatures, and welcome to another, what we hope to be fantastic episode of Encounter This. I am your host, James, the Body Snatcher Kid, and with me as always is Freeman, birthed by a hag, Iceton. And today we are going to be talking about a creature that I have never heard of before. In all of my time reading monster manuals and stuff like this, I guess I just ignored it. It is the Banderhobb, and if you want to follow along at home, they can be found on Vola's Guide to Monsters on page 122, and Mordekainen's other thing of monsters 50s. I don't know this acronym. Freeman, what is this other book?
For the record, we abbreviate these for ourselves as MOTM, Monsters of the Multiverse.
Mordekainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, I believe, is the actual title.
Is it?
I don't know. We can look it up off air. But that sounds awesome. That is fair. Yeah. I just see M, and it's not followed by immediately by another M, so I assume it's the great wizard Mordekainen in all his glory.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, I don't know a fucking thing about these creatures, and I'm pretty sure I've ignored them every time I've looked at them. So
cool beans. I don't really know. I literally opened up the books and was like going through whatchamacallem, table of contents, trying to find one to cover. And I think I opened up Monsters of the Multiverse, which is, I believe, the newest, technically, source book, aside from, setting stuff like Starjammer for 5e. And I saw Banderhobb there. I was like, I recall that. What else are they from? Oh, they're also in Vola's Guide. Then I remembered Monsters of the Multiverse reprinted a lot of creatures, but also came with errata. So I thought, this might be interesting. We'll see. And it's nothing major, but there are differences. So we will cover those. But,
right.
They're mostly in the stat block. And the other differences generally, which is I'm quite sad about, is that in Monsters of the Multiverse, they removed lines from the lore. But they didn't really add any. Yeah.
So
not
is
like
this the
hyper
first
useful lines, but still removed.
Okay. So is this the first 5.5e book, do you think?
No, I don't think it is officially.
Okay.
5.5e is they're calling 1D&D, and I don't think they've only released playtest material for that so far.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
As of this recording. So yeah, let's talk about the Banderhobb, which is a pretty cool creature. So it first appears in 4e, so this is a reasonably new creature, D&D.
Oh, yeah.
And it basically comes in with some info from Dungeon Magazine, which I don't mind saying caused a lot of confusion for me because I was searching for Dragon Magazine.
Right.
I misread it on the Forgotten Realms wiki, the credit. And it took me a bit to figure out where the hell I was going. But it's from Dungeon Magazine, which was produced by Paizo, but owned by Wizards.
Yep.
So on and so
Whereas
forth.
the Dragon magazines were produced by Paizo and owned by Paizo.
Right. Which, by the way, James hasn't heard it yet as of this, but the intro exposition, I'm going to give second credit now, comes straight from Dungeon Magazine. And it's pretty damn cool. I'm also going to start with something that
Please
comes
don't
from that
sue
same
us.
article. Yeah. Same article written by Steve Townshend. Has a few little excerpts that are really cool. And I'll start with one of those. And it reads, "Without word, seldom heard, Banderhobbs creep from shadows deep, in voiceless night when stars alight upon the bleak and moonless blight." This is a poem that is meant to reflect the Banderhobbs' psychology. This is again Dungeon
Something
Magazine.
you don't see.
Yeah, issue 195. We'll have in our reading notes there. So the Banderhobb is a hybrid of shadow and flesh. Dark magic is used to fuse these two things together to form a humanoid shape that is basically vaguely a bipedal toad. It was the in the earliest days of the world that a coven of night hags created the ritual that birthed the first Banderhobb. They're binding spirit, flesh, and shadow into a creature as big as an ogre. Its limbs are spindly in a way that masks the strength at a glance. They're quite strong. And their mouth is broad with a rows of fangs and a long tongue that is used to grab and swallow whatever they seek to retrieve, be it an object or a person.
Okay. I'm guessing they're not amphibians because giant frog sounds like it would have been right at home in Amphibuary.
Yeah, pretty much. As far as creature type goes, I believe they are very much not that. They're not beasts. So I'm going to go with another little excerpt here already. It reads, "Their tongues ensnare the unaware, their clutching claws crush bones like straws. They bolt their prey and stoop away before the dawning break of day." This is referencing the Banderhobb's physiology.
I think one of our Patreon tiers should probably just be you reading rhyming couplets. Like, that's very soothing.
I'm into it. Let's do it. So the Banderhobb is at its core a thug, a thief, and a kidnapper. It basically only lives to serve and complete the tasks that is given until it expires, and its expiration date is usually only up to about several days after birth. Air quotes. Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes it a very temporary servant. It cannot speak, but understands commands given by its creator, and it can psychically communicate with other Banderhobbs, presumably to coordinate on given tasks.
All right.
That's by speculation. And despite their size, they make very little noise, moving between shadows with alarming speed and complete silence. Pursuing its task is done with no regard to its own safety or what damage they cause, and they are especially dangerous and efficient if given an object connected to their quarry, such as a lock of hair or a personal belonging. And when it dies, it leaves behind a tar-like goo and wisps of shadow, and legends say that somewhere in the Shadowfell is a dark tower in which shadows sometimes reform, and Banderhobbs roam the halls and surrounding lands. And hags who know the ritual for creating a Banderhobb will happily put them to use, but also are willing to part with the details of the ritual, ... for the right price.
Danger zone.
Yeah. And of course, covering more bases, other dark fae, powerful fiends, and even evil mages may also have this ritual at their disposal. But yeah, that is the 5e lore in a nutshell. Again, some of that was removed in Monsters of the Multiverse, but like it was like small things like powerful mages might also have this. You know, it wasn't like super, or like, you know, you might find a discarded powerful wizard's tome that has the ritual written. They remove small things like that.
So do you think that it was removed for like printing constraints? Like in the layout?
100% my guess. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the pages are like different layout for both. Whereas like, you know, all the lore is on the left and the stat blocks on the right in the monster manual, and then they have it top to bottom in Monsters of the Multiverse. Polo's Guide previously. And yeah, so it's clear that they cut some of it for spacing issues. They did cut the least important stuff, but it still kind of bothered me because I'm like, well, you know, sometimes you just need to give a little nudge to people and say, hey, it could just be sitting in a tome, and then we go, oh shit, right, I never thought of that. But yeah, it's not like essential stuff ultimately. You want to throw up the picture there from 5e so we can get a good glimpse of this creature?
It's picture time. There we go. There's those bad boys in 5e.
Mm-hmm. What I want to point out about this picture that's not obvious right away is that that's not its tongue.
Oh yeah, that's a human arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How good is that?
Yeah. That's pretty amazing. He's got this like jowly little chin.
Yeah.
I keep thinking I can use my mouse as a pointer in OBS, but I think that's a different setting.
Yeah. And I do love that because not only is it dark and creepy, but it automatically gives you scale without needing another creature in the frame, you know? Like this is a big creature because that's not a halfling's arm. That's a big old arm. That's a human arm. Yeah.
Right.
And it's a big boy. Yeah.
I never even thought about that, but that's really clever.
Yes, right. Well, you move it to the 4E one as well, because that was the more obvious scaling one.
There it is. For you audio listeners, it's this giant creature about the size, at least the size of like a twin bed, just towering over the sleeping human. It really is towering. Like this thing must be 8 feet tall.
Yeah. It creeps me out with the added knowledge that this thing moves with incredible silence in the night. You know, like how? It's because it is laced with shadow magic and essence. Right. Really, really cool. Now,
yeah, that's a horrifying image. This is way more horrifying than the other art. It doesn't have the jowly chin.
Right?
It's just it's got like those goat slit eyes and like this almost humanoid nose.
Yeah, it is proper creepy. And that being said, I thought these creatures were okay and were going to be enough for a simple creature to cover through the 5e lore, but I was in for a ride with the Dungeon Magazine stuff. So I am thoroughly stoked about this creature. So let's dive into that. So there are loads of inconsistent claims about the physical properties and attributes of the Banderhobb, which I love, which means, you know, we're automatically having some variation. Some say that they were even quite short and slight in stature. Most would attest to the bulbous eyes and sharp claws. And there are reports of extra dimensional caverns within their stomach. And survivors being swallowed, claiming the inside of the stomach was a room that was much larger than the creature, with a giant face taking up half the surface area of the room, though the face lacked eyes. It was elongated, ghostly white compared to the other fleshy colors inside. This is all coming from the intro exposition, which I'm excited for you to eventually hear, James.
So it's got a TARDIS or bag of holding in its stomach.
Basically, yeah. And somewhere in this room was a hole, or in the face that led to its true stomach. So it's like space between, essentially. Oh, yeah. And most creatures of the Shadowfell are driven by dark emotions like hatred, jealousy, spite, ego. You know, they are the shadowy side, you know, it's shadowy mirror of the real world kind of thing. And Banderhobbs were a sort of exception to this. And they felt no emotion, dark or light. They just had none at all. Even sleep and hunger were not things it desired, but rather just viewed as necessary processes to get the job done. Simple as that. They're kind of like an automaton knowing to fuel itself. And they are essentially pure apathy. So no gloating, no way to make them feel sorrow, no way to anger them. They did not frighten. They did not make or rise to challenges at all. And they would just seek to complete their mission without personal feeling and then die. That was it. And but that being said,
so dramatic.
Yeah, they're not unthinking. They are usually considered to be mindless or assumed to be mindless and operating on pure instinct, but instead they are actually completely capable of making logical assessments without the interference of emotion or impulse. And it considers tactics in the moment, up to and including fleeing if it deems it necessary to complete its task. So it wasn't just this mindless beelining machine. And so besides the obvious biological differences from automatons, the Banderhobb could also interpret and understand things like idioms and metaphors, and are not stopped by contextual things like different dialects that could lead to non-literal meanings. So in other words, you didn't have to be hyper-specific with your instructions. It would follow it the way you intend and without reservation. Which is like pretty damn horrifying. Cool. It is
Yeah.
horrifying, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting goosebumps just thinking about this the cold, calculating but intelligent thing that this is. Like, it's so
Yeah, this
you know,
highly intelligent creature who only lives for a couple of days at most. Like,
remember when we talked about the invisible stalker, where it hated
Yep.
being conjured into the world from the elemental plane of air, and you had to be extremely specific with your instructions that it wouldn't turn on you? Not this case. This one's like, nope. Like, go kill that guy I hate. Done.
right? Yeah.
Here's his handkerchief. I got it.
Kind of makes me worried to see the stat block. Like, if these guys aren't like 5 or 6, I don't even know what we're doing here.
Right.
But
Oh,
okay.
So
Yeah, you have my attention.
really cool additional stuff there. Some said that Banderhobbs had a supernatural link to the Shadowfell. And in some way they would use their big wide eyes and special receptors in their skin, and they could detect crossings to and from the Shadowfell and other planes. So, like, we know, like, in the material plane, some areas have like a thinning sort of barrier, as it were, between different planes. So they could actually detect those, people moving in and out, and they could actually go to these thinner spots, and no matter how small it was, they just had tremendous patience, and they could just cross over themselves, even if it's just like a really small gate, as it's sometimes described. And so apparently sometimes this travel was attributed to special runes that were carved into their torsos, which I took as maybe part of the ritual creation process.
Yeah, it definitely could be.
Possibly something different as well. We'll get into that quite soon. We're also given some subtypes. First of all is the filch, which is the one other piece of art we have, if you want to put that up.
Taking it to the...
It is a diminutive kin, and they basically grabbed their targets and hauled them away in sacks that they hefted over their shoulder. They were said to be more skittish and quickly lashing out at any unexpected noise or surprise. So some would claim that there's actually an emotional response, but continuity kind of seems to point towards the fact they might have had a more hyperactive mind than their larger.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Hyper aware.
I totally get that. Like, yes, they're more skittish, but they're more skittish because they understand more of the world that's going on around them. Like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a hyper awareness, more or less, and like quick to react. The other one we have is a warder, which specializes in the chase. So basically, if one were to flee from a warder, there was a good chance that it would have already teleported to wherever you were going. And these guys particularly apparently were good at hunting in the daylight hours where the others weren't. They didn't have to rely on the shadow of night nearly as much. So that's terrifying. And then the next
Any
ones
idea
are called,
why those ones are called warders?
No, not really. No.
Okay.
The article in the Dungeon magazine is great. I did not read it cover to cover, as it were. There's a lot of 4E jargon in there as well that kind of goes over my head a bit, but it is very well written. It is so good. It's thorough. It's really cool in its structure. I highly recommend people giving it a skim. One other subtype we have is the abductor, which specializes in consuming and slowly digesting their prey. I generally presume this to be the stock standard Banderhobb, because they swallow and kind of carry you off that way. But also, I feel like they might be the version that we're going to kind of get into with the extra dimensional space. So we're going to go back to origins a bit here. So the extra details throughout all of this imply that the ritual used to birth or create a Banderhobb is in fact a conjuration or summoning from the Shadowfell. So the first creation of the Banderhobb by hags is considered a modern story, but there are other stories where, like, the Archfey believe they are cousins of Boggles, which are known for their dimension hopping. And
Yep.
astral sea denizens of impressive power and age claim to know that they were once part of an elder race, and that only 19 of them ever truly existed. Yeah, so we're getting to some neat Nagpa territory almost. And then the Shadowfell itself, natives of that plane say that the Banderhobbs basically live in a mysterious dark tower, which is located somewhere past the stormy sea, and is where Banderhobbs freely roam and pursue their own agenda. So that lines up with some of the 5e lore there. An unknown and supernatural power oversees the locale, supposedly having created the Banderhobb race and commanding them to commit terrible thefts. And the tower is rumored to have been built by the Banderhobbs themselves, with every whisper of their existence forming a new brick in its walls, and every act of terror they commit increasing the tower's size.
God, I love that so much. That's right? Such good lore right there.
How good is that? And it's so cool. I just that is giving me goosebumps. So this bit of lore makes me feel like not only are they not created and birthed by hags, but they are summoned to this ritual and complete their task without reservation, because they know exactly what their deeds are going to do for them when they die and go back to the Shadowfell. It is going to contribute to the Dark Tower that is being constantly built and constantly growing for whatever.
Yeah.
And so they just walk in and go, don't care. Gonna do it because it's gonna fucking terrify people. And it's going to help me when I get back home and my kin.
That's fantastic.
But one little another excerpt here from the magazine reads, "No one knows where Banderhobb goes, leaving no trace of the place, no place. Just a trackless trail where shadows prevail beyond the ever-darkened veil." Which is an excerpt about the Banderhobb's origins. The specific wording there, no place, with a hyphen, because it was the only name really ever given to where they might exist. There was no name for it.
Right.
So it was just called.
That's like the literal translation of utopia.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, really cool. That right there is our D&D lore. I know I said we're going to talk more about the extra-dimensional space, but that's going to go definitely being shunted here down to the mechanics and the homebrew and the
I am so glad that it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Any cultural lore to come down the pipe from those guys?
None. I did not find anything. I thought I would. Turns out Banderhobb is not Bandersnatch. So I believe these creatures are more or less proprietary. I didn't find anything in particular, unless I went down the Boggle train, which they seem to be related to, but that's its own thing.
That's its own wonderful magical creature. I love Boggles. Okay, with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back on the other side with the mechanics.
Mechanics. And as we know, with the mechanics, we love to crack a delicious beer. I'm all ready to go. It's going to lubricate me for this wonderful discussion we're about to have.
It really helps some of these mechanics go down. Some of them are not easily swallowed without the taste of a delicious adult beverage.
You're not wrong. And we're gonna
now with 100% more mechanics.
All right, let's dive into it, shall we?
Yeah, I'm fucking pumped for this.
So the Banderhobb. This is the first time we cover errated material. I've marked it here and there. It's going to be slightly confusing at some point. I'm going to try and make it nice and clear. But let's start with the CR. You were hoping it's a 5 or 6. It is a 5.
At least. That's still kind of disappointing, but okay. All right.
Yeah. These are temporary in and out creatures, so I'd say 5 is pretty all right considering that.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. So HP 84, 8d10 plus 40 if you want to do the math. Speed of 30, AC 15, natural armor. They are large in size. They are monstrosities as a type, and they are
monstrosity.
Okay. Yeah. Probably honing back to the fact that they're cobbled together and created by the ritual.
Yeah.
Not really bringing in the 4E concept that they might be summoned.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
just washing away all that 4E stuff. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So that being said, I'm not sure what the types of the average creature would be from the Shadowfell. I don't think that's necessarily aberration territory. And,
the average creature is humanoid, but to me, I would go with aberration just based on the lore we've seen.
Yeah.
I know aberration is technically like deep space creatures and stuff that cannot be fathomed, but this is right up there.
Yeah. Yeah, more or less. They are neutral evil, but in parentheses, we have typically, which is a new thing. So that popped up in Monsters of the Multiverse. They are typically
way to go,
evil,
wizards.
Not committed. Yeah. They understand common and languages of the creator, but again, do not speak. They do not have any resistances or immunities to damage of any kind. They are immune to charmed and frightened, which is reflected in their complete apathy. And Dark Vision 120, athletics +8, stealth +7. Got a pretty beefy strength at a 20 with a +5. Beefy con with a 20 +5. Dex is quite low despite their stealth, but we'll get into that. And moderately intelligent at 11. Okay, wisdom. Crap charisma. they aren't
surprise.
Yeah. Their first ability is called Resident Connection. So if the Banderhobb has even a tiny piece of a creature or object connected to it, it knows the most direct route to its target within a mile.
Okay.
So that's expected. Then they also have Shadow Stealth. So if they're in dim light or darkness, they can take the hide action as a bonus action. They have a bite attack, +8 to hit, 5d6 +5 piercing. This was errated. We'll come back to that. And if they succeed, the target is grappled. Escape DC of 15. And as long as they're larger or smaller, and the target is restrained, the Banderhobb can use the bite or tongue attack.
Okay.
Sorry, as a yeah. I might have messed my notes up there, but that's fine. We'll come back to it.
No, your notes look good. It says the Banderhobb cannot use a bite or tongue attack if it's already bitten a creature. Yeah,
I just read my notes wrong.
I even heard you. I thought I heard.
Oh,
you
really?
say cannot.
Even if I said it right, my brain interpreted it wrong.
Gotcha.
Dyslexic moment. So we also have the tongue attack. So it's also +8 to hit. The 15-foot reach. There's 3d6 necrotic damage. And then there's a DC 15 strength saving throw. Yep.
Okay.
This is their essence of shadow coming out. Yeah. It's DC 15 strength saving throw, and then the creature hit is pulled to a space within 5 feet of the Banderhobb. And as a bonus action, it can bite, assuming it was successful. So it's basically whip, tongue, hit, strength save, pull in, bonus action, bite. Now you're grappled.
Shades the bullywug.
Swoop. Yeah. This was also errated. To a point. So they did it. This weird errata to it. Okay. And then we'll move on to the swallow real quick. So bite attack, if they are grappled, then they can make another bite attack. So it's basically next turn, which is the usual, as long as the creature is medium or smaller. So they can grapple large or smaller, but only swallow medium or smaller, which makes sense. And so bite attack, if they're successful, swallowed, target is blind and restrained, total cover from outside effects, yada yada yada. 3d6 necrotic at the start of the Banderhobb's turn. So it's necrotic inside, not acid, which is usual. And then if reduced to 0 HP while swallowed, the target goes unconscious and stable, which is very uncommon, but very well reflected for their whole kidnapping shtick. And then only one creature may be swallowed at a time, regardless of the size, which is something I would change. Spoiler alert. And and of course they can regurgitate at any time if they chose to, as long as they're not incapacitated. And of course, if they die, an auto regurgitate. The creature landing 5 feet next to the Banderhobb prone.
Okay, I think that's a new thing. Isn't it?
The auto? No. Oh, yeah. It is kind of a new thing. Usually, like
Yeah.
you can spend half your movement to get out of a dead creature. In this case, you're just being hurled out, upon death. So
I like that. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. You're being
Mm.
expelled from this extra dimensional space.
I think this is the only creature that's large that swallows that we've covered. They're usually huge or larger.
Isn't the
And it
bullywug large?
Did the bullywug swallow?
I think so.
Oh, the giant toad did, but they ride into battle. There is that. So maybe I'm wrong there.
Phone lines are open, listeners. Call in.
Yeah. I don't think the bullywug had swallowed, but they're only medium creatures at most. So, but regardless, it's not that common for a large creature.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can
It's
only
not that
swallow
common,
one thing
period.
at a time. Yeah. So they also have Shadow Step as an action, which just means they can teleport up to 30 feet in dim light or darkness, so long as the Banderhobb can see it. So this is where their stealth is. This is where their ability to travel quickly without sound comes from.
Okay.
That's not their
that's straight up a
dexterity.
monk ability, I think.
Despite the fact that they have this awesome ability to hide as a bonus action in dim light and darkness. They do have a decent stealth bonus, but they also have this trump card on top of it. And before or after the teleport, they can make a bite or tongue attack as well. So they can include that in. So they can shadow step, tongue, pull, bite, next turn swallow. It can happen really fast while they're kind of darting around the battlefield.
That is very fast.
However, this was also errated. So they're basically their whole attack cycle was errated in a weird way. And this was errated by basically adding multi-attack. So instead of incentivizing you to tongue, pull, bonus action, spend, bite, they instead just said, give them multi-attack. That way they can make one bite and one tongue attack, regardless of what order. You're not incentivized to go in any particular order. And then they're allowed to replace one of these multi-attack options with Shadow Step without the extra attack attached to it. Does that make sense? It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. It's effectively the same thing, but with a different mechanic structure. And the key thing that's changed is that the bite attack is not 5d6, it's reduced to 3d6.
Right, but they would still technically have a bonus action in their arsenal.
Correct. And so they can use that to hide and stuff. And so they just have a larger flexibility with their actions as opposed to being locked into them. But there's one most effective route to take it. It's kind of that's how I've figured out to interpret the errata anyway.
Yeah, I'd have to sit on it a little bit more, but yeah, that seems right. Like giving them a multi-attack seems okay. Especially considering they already have a bonus action ability, which is the shadow stealth. So
yeah,
you either tongue and then. So was the bonus action bite errated out of the tongue attack?
It was.
Okay, so there's no way you could swallow a creature whole in one turn, which I still don't love.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, they're still removing that. But it's only a CR5 creature. So actually, I don't think any creature can do one turn.
Yeah, you're probably right. But they do make it in 2 turns, so you could tongue attack and then bite in 1 turn, or shadow step, then tongue attack, then bite, and then shadow step and hide.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do see it adding some versatility, which is nice. It doesn't like you said, it doesn't lock them into this linear attack mode.
Right. You can still follow that linear attack mode. No matter, it's still totally legit by the changes. But you don't feel, it doesn't feel as though that's the only way to really make the most of this creature. So yeah, it's I think it's fine. It has reduced the damage overall though, so it is technically a little bit weaker as a result, but it's a little more versatility, a little more roundedness to its actions.
You know, 3d6
coming down.
Yeah,
we're coming down 2d6. It's not a huge reduction because like 3d6 followed by 3d6 is still no slouch at level 5. So
yeah, so you're realistically only losing 1d6. I guess that's not true. I guess you're still losing 2d6, but yeah, I don't mind that reduction compared to the versatility that it's adding, and I think that's a fair compromise. And I'm certainly not going to say that all of the time or even often, I would imagine. But I like it. I like the lore a lot more than I like the creature itself. But with that errata, the creature definitely does become more interesting.
Yeah,
it opens up this like frantic movement across the battlefield, which didn't really seem to exist before.
So here's the thing that's got my mind churning, and this was like partially inspired. Choosing this creature was partially inspired by one of our newest Discord members and patrons talking about Haguary, and we got chatting about hags and hag ideas and how to make it work and cool like setting pieces and stuff, and so I was looking at this creature and I went, oh, there's hags involved. I'll take a little bit closer look, and I went, this is really cool. How could that play in? And so the first thing that annoys me about this creature, I'll just get out of the way, is that there is no claw attack. They got these big old claws on them. There was a claw attack at 4E. 5E's just decided they don't get one. And I don't know why. It's like, why do they just bite and tongue? They've got these big spindly arms that are supposed to be strong. Let them use them. So there should be a claw attack in there somewhere. And maybe the claw can grab just as well as the bite. And maybe it's just flavor. Maybe it's a different damage die structure. But like, just why not? There's no reason it's not there. But the thing that really gets me the most is the extra dimensional space. That's the thing I really want to use. And again, with the awesome intro exposition that's coming, that it's wholly from that article in Dungeon Magazine. I think it would be neat if only a set amount of time was required for the next creature to be swallowed. Not just they can't swallow a second creature, because I want the creature swallowed to drop into this room. And I want that room to be filled with starved, long dead warriors or adventurers. And I want there to be gear in there. And I also want it to be like maybe a maze to get of not just one hole, at least at the true stomach, but maybe there's other directions. And maybe that maze is actually this weird psychic shadow connection between multiple Banderhobbs. So let's say you're fighting multiple Banderhobbs and two separate ones swallow two separate PCs. And then suddenly they're both in a room, but there are tunnels and they can actually find each other within this extra dimensional space that's connected between the Banderhobbs, quote unquote, stomachs. You basically now have a lair within the stomachs of these creatures. And then maybe you have a limited amount of time to escape them. Otherwise, you're going to end up, you could still escape them no matter what. But if you don't escape them within a certain amount of time, then you are with the Banderhobb transported back to the shadow plane. So when you do escape, now you got to find your way back to the material plane. There's just like a whole bunch of layers to work with that lore and this extra dimensional space. And maybe when you do escape, they've already walked away somewhere and they've gone back to the hag's lair because you were meant to be kidnapped. And I don't want to recommend you get to splitting the party, but you could almost override the party and like almost force them to be swallowed just to kind of shoehorn them a bit into this extra layer of like gear finding and lore finding, only to come out at the hag's lair, which you were trying to avoid in the first place, and then now have to deal with it, or again in the shadow plane or some such. Right. Yeah.
I really
see my brain went
kind
of crazy on that.
Yeah. And you got my gears spinning too. I love everything you said. and I can already tell you that I would tweak it a little bit myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I would keep the basic premise, and instead of it being an extra dimensional space, I love the idea of it being like this shared demi-plane. Except the stomach of the Banderhobb isn't like it's just a gateway into the demi-plane. So even if the Banderhobb moves, you still come out of where the Banderhobb is because they're just the door.
Right.
Even if they go back to the shadow plane, if you find your way out, and they wouldn't be the only way out or anything like that. But I think the other thing I would do to really fuck with the players is make them immortal.
The
and
Banderhobbs?
then no, the players inside the extra dimensional plane. And I would fuck with the flow of time outside of the plane as well.
Yep.
So it's been like a couple hours is a decade or something like that, and when they come out, the world around them has changed, but they haven't because they've been trapped in this spatial time constraint.
That would be awesome.
And I would try and run it. I love the idea of it being a maze, but like a funhouse dungeon where you just run the funhouse dungeon.
Yeah.
Like the whole point is to die. You reset at the beginning or your Banderhobb entrance, and then you just run the maze again. You set off all the traps, and you set off the funhouse dungeon, and you finally make it to the end. I think there's a world of possibilities there. Absolute. Let's call it a demi-plane of possibilities there.
Yeah, yeah. The thing that has grabbed me in all this is you may or may not remember, this sort of weirdly paced story that I tried to tell with Haguary in all the expositions we did, And one of the
I'll never
key
forget
things,
it mixing it. That's for sure.
One of the key things about that ending with the Night Hag was in order to destroy it, which is was the idea behind it, was like the party's goal was to just rid the world of this, right? This evil. And in order to properly destroy the Night Hag, if I remember correctly, you had to kill it in the shadow plane. So, there was this loose end that I didn't cover and I didn't really have an idea of how do you get to the shadow plane? Well, maybe you get the ritual to create a Banderhobb from a hag you've killed. And then you make one yourself and order it to swallow you, only to be stuck in this extra dimensional demi-plane and then find your way out. And that's how you get to the shadow plane.
That's so unbelievably complicated. That is exactly the kind of thing you would come up with.
And then the Night Hag's at the top of the tower in no place,
Right.
How fun would that be?
Utopian Tower of the Shadow Plane run by Auntie McCreepy.
Yeah. Just sometimes it's been, I don't know how long it's been since Haguary, but it's been a couple of years probably now. And I can't believe that struck me with this creature.
It'll be 22 months, I think it's been.
Yeah. So pretty fun. I'm pretty stoked about that coming back full circle in my head. And I don't know if I'll ever run this campaign, but it's a pretty cool concept. So
I think you should at least write it. You're maybe not for this system, but your passion for hags is wild and it needs to be explored.
Yeah, I keep getting just brought back to them,
Yeah.
And I love that there's so many more hags out there than what even 5e offered. There's all those previous ones, and then Pathfinder 2nd Edition has their own, and there's a whole bunch of homebrew ones out there, and it's just so cool. They're so cool. There's actually 2
Creature Codex and Toma Beasts have them.
There's 2 new ones introduced by a recent adventure path for a Pathfinder as well that I noticed that cover grave hags and rust hags. They're so cool. There's just this crazy weird variety of them. Love it. Absolutely.
Nice. That's awesome.
At some point I probably should just sit down and write the outline to a hunting down hag by hag campaign.
Yeah, I think it's probably worth at least getting the cliff notes out.
Good gonna figure all
That
their
is,
motivations so they can trick the players.
Right.
Even when that would be the hardest part, I think, is finding a way to trick the players that are already on high alert after hag number 1. You know, how can I convince them to take the deal? That would be the impossible goal, I think.
You could try literal magic. But
yep.
You got time to say with it. That's our new our new Patreon goal at $10,000 a month is Freeman writes a hag campaign.
There you go. Sold. And then I'll find a way to use literal magic on Scott so he's not so suspicious all the time.
Right. Just make sure he creates a trusting character.
Yeah.
I'm going to need everybody in the party to dump charisma and wisdom for no reason at all.
No reason whatsoever.
Oh,
well, that's
okay.
it. That's me. That's the Banderhobb. That's my hag campaign brought back. That's all I got.
Perfect. Full circle. One of these days, I'm going to finish that Black Dog suite, and we'll both just close the loop.
Hell yeah. Those are the perfect creatures to have lure, like just kicking around the lairs and in the Dark Tower.
Oh yeah, love me some hellhounds. I guess the Shadow Mastiff would probably be more appropriate for that one.
Barghest would work there too.
Yeah, but Barghest is really heavily related to goblins, and that's why we haven't covered the Barghest yet.
Oh, right.
Is because it's actually going to be in the Goblin Suite because they're so tightly wound.
Kind of like the Lucrata and the Gnolls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what about you, listeners? Do you have an idea for Freeman's impending hag campaign? You can reach out to us at Twitter at EncounterPod or Facebook.com/EncounterPod or Instagram at Encounter.pod. If you're watching the video version of this, you can see all those social links scrolling through the video feed at any given time. If you liked it and you really want to help us out, we'd really appreciate it. That's patreon.com/EncounterPod. These roles and goals are going to change pretty drastically, but no matter what happens, for $5 a month, you will get a handwritten thank you letter. And for $10 a month, you can suggest a creature as well as some other goodies at our upcoming Uncharted North pending merger. That stuff will change, but those two goals certainly will not. If you're interested in connecting with us directly, you can reach out to us at our new home on Discord, which is the Uncharted North Fan Hub, which you can find at unchartednorth.com/Discord. If you want to check out our show notes or any previous episodes, they're all available on our website at encounterthis.ca. Maybe go check out that Shadow Mastiff episode, or if you've got some real time on your hands, that Hag Suite is some of the best work we've done. But if you're watching this on YouTube, because it's gone public on YouTube, please hit the bell to be notified about when new episodes come up. Hit that subscribe button. If you are listening to the audio version of this show, please rate and review on your platform of choice. It helps with placement in the stores and helps new people find us. Every new people who's found us recently seems to think we're doing a good job, so that's nice. You're nice.
Love new people.
Yeah. But thank you so much for listening, creatures, and we will see you in 2 weeks with the next most episode.
That's enough bandying around.